Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're gonna be diving into some photography mistakes that beginners make that pros don't. If you guys don't know me, my name is Kris Luckenbach, and I'm a wildlife photographer here in beautiful Kodiak, Alaska. And I make videos like this to inspire you to grow and explore the world. First beginner mistake that you don't wanna make is taking your lens cap off. No pro ever forgets to take their lens cap off. I'm just kidding. Pros forget to take their lens cap all the time. Don't worry about that. If you forget to take it off, it's not a big deal. Let's get into some real mistakes. And the first one that I'm gonna say for you guys is having your camera ready to go, especially for wildlife photographers. The camera should be in your truck or car, or if you're going on a road trip, ready to go. So if you have to pull over the side of the road because there's a bear or a bird that you wanna see, you're ready to go. You don't have to take it out of your bag and potentially miss a shot. Of all the things that, you could miss, wildlife is gonna be your fastest. So if you do wildlife and landscape and only have one camera body, have your wildlife lens ready to go. It's definitely one of those mistakes that I used to make early in the beginning, but now my camera is always ready to go unless I just got off a plane or something, but it's still the very first thing that I get out of my bag. Next up is gonna be those photographers that still use auto mode. Even if you just started today, don't ever use auto mode. The camera has no idea what you're taking a photo of. Doesn't know if you want to capture something in the heat of the moment, or something like the Northern Lights where you need a long exposure, or a waterfall where you want to blur the water and get a long exposure. This is like buying a brand new Lamborghini and then asking someone else to drive it for you because you don't know how to switch gears. I think when you buy a camera, you're expecting a little bit of change and challenge. There's a lot of times where it's better to just use your phone if you don't want to learn how to use your camera. Phones capture pretty good pictures for everyday things, but when it comes to wildlife and nature or people, there are certain settings that you need to learn. And the only way you're going to learn them is by using different settings, making mistakes, learning what works and what doesn't work. Nothing happens overnight. Practice, consistency always will be paying off when you are using something that you want to do for a full-time or a hobby. Just using it every day is going to make you a better photographer. Easiest thing that I like to do is I'll go to manual mode. I'll choose the auto ISO option, and I'll set my aperture to whatever the lowest can go for most things. For wildlife, I'm going to want the lowest aperture. For landscape and people, it just is going to depend on everything. I'm not going to dive into that in this video, but using a set aperture, the lowest typically works for most scenarios, and then all you have to worry about is basically your shutter speed. I think shutter speed is the most important thing in photography. So yeah, just get off auto mode. No one uses it. It's not good for you. It's bad. Next up is going to be centering all of your photos. Now, it's not a bad thing, especially when you're beginning. Especially when a subject is far away, you can kind of change some things post-editing, change the composition a little bit. But when you center everything, you're really leaving a lot on the table for telling the story. So one thing I like to do is if a bird is perched up on a tree and he's looking down to the left, we'll put the bird to the top right. Or if the animal's looking to the right, put the bird to the left. If the animal is moving from left to right, put the animal left of the screen and have a little bit of separation on the right side to see what the animal is looking for or looking at. This is something that's gonna, not happen overnight, but you learn things along the way. And if you just put the animal in the center of every photo, well, you're leaving a lot on the table when it comes to creativity. I think composition is the #1 thing to become a better photographer and have a good photo. You can have a kit lens and a kit body and take a better photo than a pro lens and a pro body if the animal is just centered or your subject is just centered. There are some things that it does work, and I use it occasionally, and I'm trying to get better at not using it at all or as much. So yeah, if you notice, pros, not everything they photograph is going to be in the center of their screen. That's bright and I can barely see my screen. Well, if you notice in this video, I've been switching my compositions around. The light is pretty harsh today, and I don't even think let me get myself a little bit lower here. So lighting is everything. You don't want to be directly in the sunlight. straight on like I am now, it is pretty harsh. I can barely see what I'm talking about. You know, lighting isn't just for professionals in Hollywood. Lighting is for everyone. Photographers, beginner or pro. Filmmakers, beginner or pro. Nature, beginning or pro. You want to set yourself on a best advantage of lighting. I like to do like a 45-degree angle to the sun, and you could just see as I just turn around here, I had the shadow in me and stuff. It's terrible. But if I go off a little bit, so I'm out of the harsh light just a little bit, and I put the sun on me just a little bit. Well, now I'm still gonna have shadows because it's just, you know, bright outside and that I don't have a diffuser or anything. But you can see how lighting can change everything. So another thing, you're not gonna learn overnight, but just try moving around, trying to change the lighting purposefully. Sometimes you're in the best angle where you're at first try, but a lot of times you're not. Lighting's gonna change, clouds are gonna go over the sun, sun's gonna peek through, sun's gonna disappear. So yeah, and you can see if we turn like around, now I become darker because I'm in auto ISO mode on my camera. Okay, I'm getting out of here. I don't need a little rock avalanche landslide on me right now. Let's go find the next spot. Next up is going to be to stop over editing your photos. I rarely ever take any of the sliders all the way to their maximum. The only thing I do is maybe shadows or highlights might be all the way down or all the way up depending on the lighting and everything in the photo itself. But saturation is rarely going to be turned all the way up. Clarity, dehaze, texture, you don't want to turn them all up. It's okay to manipulate them a little bit, change things around. One of the best things I learned to do as a beginner photographer was called the 66 or 33% rule. Find a setting you like, look at it for a little bit, and then lower it down to 66 or 33% of what it was. And you'll find it adds just enough change. If you walk away from your computer and you come back, and you might look at it and say, well, okay, I do like this. And you might look at how you had it before with your saturation turned all the way up and say, what the heck was I thinking? Or your clarity turned all the way up. It's so easy to want to turn all the way up. They look cool when you first begin, but I promise you, the trained eye and the untrained eye is gonna see that it is an over-edited photo. You're gonna get either no likes on it, you're gonna get negative comments, or you're just gonna kind of ruin your confidence in photography. So yeah, definitely don't over edit your stuff. Don't ask your family either if it looks good or not. Trust your instinct and take your time editing the photo. One of the other things that beginners do is they'll just shoot in JPEG because they don't want to edit their photos, or they don't think that their photos deserve editing yet or anything like that. But I assure you guys that shooting RAW is gonna really open up everything when it comes to photography. Shooting RAW is everything. Why would you want to, you know, take a photo and not be able to manipulate some colors and manipulate the highlights and stuff? If you're like a sports or news reporter, sure, you probably don't need to, you know, do much editing. So JPEG might work for you. If you know you're gonna be putting your photos on a computer and editing them, well, just shoot in RAW, learn how to edit them. If you don't like it, then you can just add a little bit of contrast and saturation and then post it like that. But editing photos is actually one of my favorite parts about photography. It's what makes photography for me. It's allowed me to add my own unique style. And to me, that's what makes KrisLuckPhoto KrisLuckPhoto. All right, next up is one of my biggest things. And if you edit your photos on a MacBook Pro, well, you're having a color correct monitor. And that's the most important thing when it comes to having your colors look exactly how you want them to look. For the longest time, I used to edit my photos on what I thought was a color correct monitor because it said 99% accuracy, but it wasn't set up properly. And I noticed, like, when I put the photos on Facebook and I look at them later, I'm like, I don't remember me selecting these colors or making these shadows so bright, or these highlights are so bright. Like, when I looked at them on my computer, like, I could see that the sky was pink, and for some reason on Facebook the sky is orange. Well, If you're having that issue, it's your monitor calibration. If you have a MacBook Pro, I like to use 50% brightness in a darker room with minimal ambient lighting to get the most accurate colors. If you buy a monitor, I recommend buying something called a spider color calibrator, and you plug it in and set it up. And I don't have one, so I can't give you an example on how it works, but that thing will color correct your monitors. I did it a long time ago manually. I had 10 different photos on my MacBook, and what I did was I had to manually make sure all the colors matched on the MacBook to the monitor that I had. And it was really hard without that spider calibrator, because I would get like 7 or 8 photos that matched perfectly, and then 2 were just completely wrong, and I'd have to change some things. So it took me a few hours, and it wasn't really worth it. I wish I just bought that spider calibrator. But yeah, make sure your monitor is color accurate, and I promise you it's gonna save you so much headache in the long run. Next up is something me and my friend Jacob are having an issue with right now, and that's patience. We went out really early this morning, and we've been looking for some wildlife. No luck on much wildlife. We did get some nice drone videos of a sunrise and everything, and coming out here was really, really pretty. Some nice lighting and everything, and that was fun. Lighting is harsh right now, no wildlife going on. We've been looking for this little ermine thing, a weasel, whatever you want to call it. Ermine, weasel, however you want to say it. But no luck right now, and perfect time to film this video. But yeah, patience is everything. Sometimes I've waited in spots for hours and never got anything, and as soon as I left, I'd go online and say, oh, at 6:30 I saw this bear here, and guess what time I left? At 6:20. So sometimes that happens. Sometimes I sit in one spot and I think, okay, something's not right, I'm gonna go look around, and then I find something. So you got to find a good balance of what works. That's gonna bring me to my next topic, and for tip number 9 is doing research on your animal or your subject or whatever it is. Find out what kind of habitat they like to be in. Even the best pros out there, my friend KrisLuckPhoto, is always doing something intense when it comes to portrait photography. He is finding new lighting and stuff because he's doing research. He's doing all the effort that it takes. He's not just saying, oh, I'm good and I'm a well-known photographer, so here's my photos, I hope you like them. Like, he's putting effort in all the time. So number 8, have patience. Number 9, just do research, learn new things. Always try to learn something new. The second you think you know it all, well, you're behind the game. And for my last tip is just like this video right here where I explain to not be afraid of high ISO images. It's an old ruling. You're paying for a sensor, you're paying for a camera that is capable of shooting high ISO, so you should be taking advantage of it. Check out that video, and I hope this video inspires you to get out and maybe learn a few mistakes. Don't forget your lens cap. Mine's off right now, I don't even know where it's at. All right, thanks for watching.